Okay, so I think this is a good time. So greetings everyone and welcome to our 2021 Virtual Alumni Awards ceremony. My name is Brandon Kyle and I'm the Director of Alumni and Family Engagement here at Pitzer. And I have the privilege of working with the Alumni Association Board to present this year's award recipients. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for this very special occasion. We have looked forward to this for a very, very long time. Now, I will admit that we didn't exactly have this format in mind, but truth be told, I'm incredibly excited to be able to share this ceremony with even more of you this year from all across the world. It's truly an honor to be able to celebrate tonight's honorees with you all. With that said, I would like to take this time to welcome and introduce Pitzer College trustee and Alumni Board President, Michele Siqueiros, class of 1995, who will be our host and moderator for our program this afternoon. Thank you, Michele.
Thank you, Brandon. Everybody in the Pitzer family and community, welcome to this unusual but virtual Distinguished Alumni Awards. I think one silver lining amidst this pandemic is that from coast to coast, we get to celebrate in every space. And truly from coast to coast, this year's 4 amazing honorees I think reflect what is best about Pitzer College, from top chefs to top artists to top leaders in Hollywood and social justice. The 4 distinguished alumni are just incredible. And I'm so excited that you get to hear directly from them and admire, as we all have, through this process. I'm Michele Siqueiros, class of 1995 and proud president of the Pitzer Alumni Board. One of the most fun things that we get to do, obviously, we are ambassadors for Pitzer College, but selecting our distinguished alumni is really truly one of the most exciting and fun things we get to do, because we get to see all of the amazing work that both young and older alumni have been doing since they left Pitzer College. And it's not an easy process to narrow it down to who we will award as the most distinguished in any given year. And obviously the pandemic threw us a curveball. So this year, you all get to benefit by celebrating 4 young alumni and distinguished alumni at one event, because today we honor the 2020 and 2021 distinguished alumni. I'm thrilled that I am joined with some amazing professors that get to introduce this year's awardees. We're going to kick off with our Distinguished Young Alumni Achievement Award. This is given to someone that's graduated within the last 10 years at Pitzer College, and already within that incredibly short period of time, really left a mark, made a mark, and continues to lead in their chosen field of expertise. So to present the first Young Alumni Award, I'm joined by Professor Gina Lamb. Gina, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to start off by saying that it is absolutely my honor to introduce Stephen Liang for Pitzer's Young Alumni Achievement Award. It's been wonderful watching his trajectory as a narrative and documentary filmmaker, exposing audiences to stories of social justice. When still in high school, Stephen introduced himself to me at an Outfest Film Festival event and let me know he was working on a film. It was his coming out story at the time. My first impression of him was just that, impressed, very impressed with his drive, direction, poise at his very young age. And I invited him to finish his film at Reach LA, where I ran an LGBTQ youth video production workshop. His first film, See Me, screened at Outfest that next year, and he also applied and was accepted to Pitzer College. So at Pitzer, Stephen was active in Kappas and worked as an RA. In his senior year, he was awarded a Fulbright Fellowship to Taiwan. He graduated with a BA in Asian American Studies and a self-designed communication studies in 2010. He completed many notable short films in his own family's immigration story while he was at Pitzer. He then went on to UCLA to obtain his MFA in film directing and gaining hands-on experience and honing his storytelling craft. He's currently an adjunct assistant professor with the Intercollegiate Department of Asian American Studies at Claremont Colleges. And students, I have to say, are very lucky to have him as their teacher and mentor. His most notable, though, is Stephen's film work. In 2019, he was selected for the Ryan Murphy Directing Mentorship Program. He's a recipient of the 2017 Film Independent Directing Lab Fellowship. In 2017, he received the Armed with a Camera Fellowship. In 2015, the Carl David Memorial Fellowship. 2013, the Abel Cine Documentary Grant for his film, A Better Life. And as both a writer and director, he's known for his narrative films Afuera, which is a trans love story that sits at the intersection of immigration, poverty, and self-awareness. Stephen respected his storytelling process by working closely with the trans community and supporting NGOs. His film Coming Home, shot in Taiwan, is the first LGBTQ film to be supported by Taiwan's Tourism Bureau. Both of these films are beautiful and they're both online, so I encourage everybody to watch them. They've been reviewed and screened internationally at festivals. Stephen has also directed several documentaries, including A Better Life, Trans Lives Matter, A Day of Action, and an advocacy piece on a Cambodian immigrant asking to be pardoned by Governor Brown and taken off the deportation list. And this did happen for the subject Billy soon after the film was made. Stephen tells powerful stories of people that are invisible or often on the fringes of mainstream culture and media. His unique work process of going back and forth between documentary and narrative establishes a base in reality that fleshes out his characters in a way that really connects with his audiences. His craft as a director, writer, editor delivers these stories beautifully with timing, feeling, and intensity that allow his subjects to be seen. So kudos to you, Stephen. I'm looking forward to all of your future projects and congratulations.
Thank you, Gina, for those kind words. I have my award right here. I'm trying not to get fingerprints on it, but it's already a little smudged. But this is such a great honor. I've prepared some remarks. I'm a behind the scenes person, so this is all very new to me. But I really feel over the moon right now. I want to thank Michele and the Alumni Board for this great honor, and also Brandon and Brooke and everyone at the Advancement Office for being such wonderful collaborators. And thank you, Gina, for those kind words, because I mean, you were one of the first people to support my work as a filmmaker, and Reach LA will always have a very special place in my heart. And I was so lucky to also have you as a professor when I was studying media studies at Pitzer, and to be able to take your Media Arts for Social Justice class. Thank you also, Nigel, for your Fulbright mentorship. Would not have been possible without your guidance. So my roots are in the Chavez Ravine and the San Gabriel Valley, the land of the Tonga people. And I now make my home in Berkeley, which is Ohlone land. So I just want to acknowledge the original stewards of these lands. I have to say, I was not expecting this award. I'm the first in my family to attend college. I'm the product of LA County Public Schools, where I witnessed firsthand the school to prison pipeline. There was definitely a time when I felt like an outsider at Pitzer, but thanks to the community of faculty, students, and staff who believed deeply in Pitzer's core values, I was able to find a home and thrive at Pitzer College. So Pitzer's core value of social responsibility is in the DNA of my films. And so much of who I am as a filmmaker can be traced back to my time at Pitzer. I am somebody, as Gina mentioned, who combines documentary and scripted forms. I also have a very community-based practice. And my current work explores the impact of mass incarceration on individuals and families. And I do this through a participatory practice and a lens of empathy. And this would not be possible without, had professors Gina Lamb, Alex Uhas, and everyone at IMS not instilled in me the power of filmmaking for social change. My films have also humanized intersectional communities, including queer, trans communities, immigrant communities, and Asian American communities. And this is made possible due to Professors Kathy Yep, Jose Calderon, Ming Ma, and everyone in Asian American Studies for planting those seeds of reciprocity and lived experience that continues to permeate my process. So all that to say, every work that I engage in is an homage to the communities that nurtured me, including Pitzer College. So I just want to say thank you, Pitzer, for this award. I will cherish it and I will continue to make you proud. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And you go ahead and put fingerprints all over that, just like you're putting fingerprints all over and making history with the amazing work that you're doing. I am so honored that you're on the Pitzer Alumni Board, and I've appreciated getting to know you better. So congrats.
Thank you, Michele.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Alicia Bonaparte, who is going to introduce our second Distinguished Young Alumni Award.
Hi, everyone. It's my turn now to truly give a little bit of hype to one of our newest awardees, Adrian Brandon. Adrian was an environmental analysis and studio art major here at Pitzer. One of the things he did is of many things, is he organized and exhibited in the 2015 senior art show called 9. In addition to that, I'm sure Nigel is very excited about this. He studied abroad at Pitzer's Firestone Center for Restoration Ecology in Costa Rica. And he also was a proud member of the Pomona Pitzer Sage Hens men's basketball team. During his senior year, he also was an awardee of a Fulbright, and in particular, he taught English in Taiwan. One of the things that I was really excited about was seeing how you've grown as an artist, Adrian, in particular. And so in February 2019, Adrian started Stolen, which is a portrait series that's dedicated to Black people who had been killed, unfortunately, by police brutality. One of the things I appreciate so much about your work, Adrian, is that you start your work with an outline and then you color each of the pieces in, and you use a year of life to equal 1 minute of color. One of the things that I think is amazing about this is that each of these portraits, in essence, embodies the lives of people who've been stolen. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is that in November 2019, and it also can be seen on Instagram, is that Adrian also has a current series called Brooklyn Windows. And in particular, one of the things that's really important about this is that this is a piece of art, or I should say a series of art that reflects the isolation and complexity of life during COVID-19. I want to give a little bit of a backstory of how Adrian and I came to know one another. During my third year at the college, I decided it would be really important to teach an African-American social theory class. And in particular, I wanted to put at the forefront of the class contributions made by people of African descent to sociology as a discipline. Word, of course, spread that my class was challenging, but I don't think anyone has ever believed that theory is easy, right? So Adrian comes to class in spring 2012, and he tells me he'd heard that the class was hard, but that he was ready. This class was memorable for many reasons. And Adrian, of course, as you know, you're partially responsible for that. We explored a lot of things in this class. Some of these things I'd even say are controversial, things like reparations, criminal justice reform, the complexities of white philanthropy, the links between colonialism and the plantation economy in the South, and so forth. And most of my classes, students tend to engage the material within group discussions. Adrian was part of a very cohesive, vociferous, and highly engaged group, and I enjoyed being able to eavesdrop on the conversations related to group work assignments. And I remember thinking to myself, he really wants to understand the theory. What does it mean and how it's applied to the experiences of Black people? Adrian, you may recall, we also had 2 new resources students who openly shared their previous incarceration experiences. Romarilyn Ralston, also one of our Distinguished Alumni Awardees today, and Richard Roderick. What's amazing is I remember how you and other students in the class, you made it a point to make sure that our class was a welcoming space for them because it was their first semester at Pitzer. You all valued their insights, especially during our discussion of criminal justice reform and juvenile delinquency. This class was such a communal class that I shared with them that I was a vegan professor that makes a not so vegan macaroni and cheese. And Adrian and other folks in the class were like, you have to bring it to the last day of class. What's beautiful is that I was so appreciative of our last day of class, because I remember, Adrian, you in particular admitted that you'd almost wanted to quit my class, but you stayed with it because you wanted to actually learn more, and you were grateful that you stuck it out. Please note that this comment was also echoed by other students as well. So I can't lie, I secretly hoped, Adrian, that you'd be a sociology major because of this comment. And yet I will also say I was so delighted to find out how truly gifted and intentional of an artist that you are. Your arresting mural on the northern wall of Mead Hall is a true testament to your artistic acumen and ability to say 1,000 words in a single picture. When I saw you during your senior year and I asked you about that mural, I don't know if you remember this conversation, but you said that my class laid a little bit of groundwork for that mural, and I really appreciate that. It is, of course, so elating to see that your current work continues to thematically examine and cause viewers to question what they perceive as Black life, and to think about how racial injustice persists and how Black people survive and thrive in spite of it. As a professor, we are truly blessed at Pitzer to encounter insightful, dedicated, humorous, and gifted students. Adrian, you are in that cadre of students that I'm speaking of, and I'm truly grateful to celebrate this honor with you on this day. I hope one day I can afford a few of your paintings. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I had a bunch of things that I was trying to get to now, but you kind of caught me off guard with all of that. So thank you so much for those kind words. That class that I took still remains my favorite. I'm so glad I didn't quit, but all the people, that community that we created, that really safe space, I really hold that close, and I think clearly you are very responsible for that. So thank you so much for taking that leap and starting that class. I learned an incredible amount from it. But yeah, one thing I think a lot about when I think about my time at Pitzer is really just how much I learned to think critically. I think that is something that I assumed everybody during that age, you know, from 18 to 22 was kind of developing in that way. But I quickly learned once I left Pitzer that that was not the case. You know, not everyone was challenged to dig deeper and to question things and to understand the history of things or people's intent or the context, the way that Pitzer students are really encouraged to do so. And that is something I really reflect in my art, and I really challenge myself to continue to figure out how art can be my way of sharing a perspective or educating somebody on an experience they may not be living. And so I am so appreciative and grateful for Pitzer for really providing that space, for letting me paint on these walls and create these conversations and take these leaps as an artist, because that is so crucial, to just go for it and see how people interact with it, and to not be afraid of getting critiqued yourself, right? So Pitzer was the first time I did any public art in any fashion. So I did 2 murals, one on the free wall and another on the wall that on Mead, a couple feet down. And I remember the one on the free wall was exciting because other students continued to add to it. It was a protest kind of scene, and so there's a lot of blank protest signs, and people were adding things that they were passionate about to it and really continuing the conversation. And that's what I really love about Pitzer, is people are so great at having a pulse on what's going on outside of the Claremont bubble. It's so easy to be wrapped up in what's going on in the 5 colleges, but to be able to see issues going on outside of that and bring those internally, and to create those conversation in those moments and question people and raise awareness is something that I just loved and I learned so much from personally. So in many ways, Pitzer really shaped me as an artist, but I think really forcing me to challenge things that I see and to not just take them as they come, but to take a minute, pause, dig a little bit deeper, figure out my connection to it, my perspective, understand other people's perspective is so valuable. And I hope, as we all see just in the world today, we all need to be thinking more critically and to be questioning things and questioning others. And so I appreciate that Pitzer's continuing and has a history of doing that and challenging their students to be that way. So this award, I love it. Thank you. I have a lot of sports awards from back in the day, but I don't have anything about my art. So I really appreciate having this. Thank you to everybody for putting this on and for recognizing and taking the time to check out my work. So much love. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. You're incredible and amazing. And I just remember when I made the call to Stephen and to you, I think that the amount of shock that both of you had when we announced that you had been selected actually really floored me, because your talent and your gift is truly something that we all get to benefit from, and really encapsulates, I think, Pitzer's values. So thank you for your amazing talent and for sharing it with the world. It is truly my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, a former professor of mine, Nigel Boyle. His international relations class remains one of my favorite courses that I took while I was at Pitzer College. And I'm thrilled that he gets to introduce our first distinguished alumni for the evening. I will just say that while the Young Alumni Award recognizes someone that graduated within the last 10 years, our distinguished alumni really acknowledges someone whose entire career and body of work embodies the values of Pitzer College. And these two women absolutely do. And so Professor Nigel Boyle, take it away.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm so delighted. I've got 4 former students on this screen here before me. So, well, there's nothing that makes an old professor happier than to bask in the reflected glory of high-achieving students who go on to become high-achieving alumni. And in the case of Romarilyn Ralston, I've been doing a lot of basking over the last few years. And this is particularly, I've actually had the advantage of kind of seeing the arc of Romarilyn's development from, in part because this has been concentrated into a period of time because of the 23 years she lost to the California prison system. But as a student, as a fellowship applicant, as an activist, as a teacher, and now as a professional with a statewide reputation, I've had the opportunity to see Romarilyn's growth, and it's been fantastic. She was a student of mine, and as with other great students who have great academic records, like Stephen and Adrian, we encourage them to apply for fellowships. In Romarilyn's case, this was a Coro fellowship. She won the Coro fellowship. She went and did her master's degree at Washington University in St. Louis. She carried out the Coro fellowship there. She got involved post-Ferguson in activism in the state of Missouri and became a policy activist. She came back to California, and she now directs Project Rebound at Cal State Fullerton. Project Rebound is this fantastic statewide program for to provide support for formerly incarcerated students. Cal State Fullerton's is the best in the state, and that's because of Romarilyn Ralston. Again, she's just been a really remarkable person. And I say that I've been doing a lot of basking. While Romarilyn has been doing this, some of us here at Pitzer have become involved in prison education of one sort or another. And I can't tell you the number of times in recent years when I've been at meetings, virtual or face-to-face, where people give me that, what's this funny old white guy with a funny accent talking about prison education. And then I mention, oh, Romarilyn Ralston was one of my students, and it's, oh, instant credibility. Here in California and in Scotland, I was once being given a tour of a prison in Scotland, Addiewell prison in Scotland, by these very sort of curmudgeonly Scottish correction officers and incarcerated men. You know, think of Willie from The Simpsons. You know, that's the type there. And then all of a sudden, well, Romarilyn Ralston was one of my students. Romarilyn Ralston, the rock star from California, because she had been and taught there through the prep program and had an incredible impact on the prison there. So again, it's been wonderful for me to be associated with Romarilyn. But I'll make a serious point here, because Romarilyn, Pitzer would really like to claim credit for what Romarilyn has done, and and I'm sure Washington University in St. Louis would, I'm sure Cal State Fullerton would. But in my experience with Romarilyn, I think that there's kind of an inner strength and a resilience, the source of which I actually don't understand, that she's so good at dealing with difficult situations and always remaining optimistic and always moving forward. So, and that's what I especially appreciate about Romarilyn. Brandon suggested that I give a little anecdote of my experience with Romarilyn, and I've decided to use the example of preparing her for the Coro Fellowship. Coro Fellowship is the most brutal selection process of any fellowship organization. They bring all of the candidates together, and it's essentially this sort of dog-eat-dog series of ordeals that they put them through. It's really rough. When we found out that Romarilyn was a finalist, we put together a committee to give her a mock interview. And basically the idea with the mock interview is to beat the crap out of the candidate so that in the real interview that they'll be on their toes and ready. We tried our best, and we threw really nasty questions at Romarilyn to try and throw her off the side. Romarilyn remained calm, always articulate, always on point. I was a bit worried because usually, you know, the worse the mock, the better the actual interview. But in Romarilyn's case, needless to say, she cruised through the competition and was a star participant in the Coro program. So again, she made us all very proud. Just recently, Romarilyn came and spoke to one of my to a class that I'm teaching this semester, an inside out class where there's inside students and outside students. She gave the best 1 hour discussion about prison politics, reform, abolitionism, all the more remarkable because she made it from the front seat of her car. She was actually at John Wayne Airport picking up her sister. Wonderful. On foot of which we had a little conversation, and so I've made a vow that sometime before I retire or die, whichever comes first, Romarilyn and I are going to teach a class together here at Pitzer, and I know full well she's going to completely outshine me in this class, but I'm going to do it as soon as we can. And I like the idea of bringing that sort of full circle here at Pitzer. But again, all of us are really honored to be connected with Romarilyn Ralston. I've talked about me basking in the reflected glory. One thing I think alums, I can tell alums, when you run across people who say, Pitzer College, where's that? You can also say, it's the college that Romarilyn Ralston graduated from. So, and with that, congratulations, Romarilyn, and it's great that you received this award.
Wow, thank you, Nigel, for that walk down memory lane and for all of those kind words and remarks. And I really appreciate everything that you said. And thank you so much, Michele, and to all of the Alumni Board for giving me this honor. I am really thankful and grateful for this recognition tonight. And I'm crying, Nigel. You can't see it, but thank you so much for all of those words. I did prepare a few remarks for tonight. I just want to say that to all of my Claremont family and my Pitzer family, I am truly honored to represent Pitzer wherever I go in the world. So I'm very proud, Pitsy. 10 years ago, when I applied to Pitzer College at the prompting of Sue Castanetto, a Scripps professor and beloved friend, I didn't believe that I would ever be accepted to Pitzer. I thought to myself, I have no business at a Claremont college. I had been recently released from prison and in transition living at crossroads, or one could say I was at a crossroads. But through God's grace and with the guidance and encouragement of faculty members across the Claremont colleges, Sue, Linda Perkins, Aaron Runyons, who I met while incarcerated, I chose higher education as my transformative practice. The first day I walked on to Pitzer's College, I felt a strong sense of empowerment, responsibility, and service. And I knew that if I were to be blessed with a Pitzer education, my life would be changed. Tonight, I am humbled by this award and privileged by my Pitzer education. I live each day in service to my community and the public good, supporting the higher education and successful reintegration of the formerly incarcerated while working in the spirit of prison abolition, racial, gender, and social justice. I want to thank my Pitzer professors, Maria Solentanko, who I learned so much from, Mita Banerjee, Laura Harris, Joe Parker, Alicia Bonaparte, Tessa Peterson Hicks, and special thanks to Nigel Boyle, who has supported me over the years as a mentor and friend. Nigel, you taught me about justice, the foundations of the law, and showed me what social responsibility looks like. Lastly, to those who nominated me for this award and my Claremont family, thank you for welcoming me into your hearts and into the Pitzer community. I am honored to be your 2020 Pitzer College Distinguished Alumni honoree. Thank you all.
Thank you, Romarilyn. I think we are more honored that you are an incredible ambassador to a Pitzer education. Thank you for all you do and continue to do for others. With that, it is my honor to introduce fellow trustee Wendy Glenn, class of 75, who will present our final Distinguished Alumni Award, someone that we also say Professor Boyle, that school where Susan Feniger went to college.
Okay, I have to unmute myself, I guess. So yes, Michelle, thank you very much. It's certainly my honor to be part of this presentation and of course to introduce Susan. Michelle mentioned I'm class of 75, so I got a 1-year head start on Susan, but nowhere near as accomplished. So I don't know what happened there, but the Pitzer Distinguished Alumni Award is, quote, a recognition of a graduate who boldly puts the spirit of a Pitzer education into action. A Pitzer education is a pretty immersive experience, and its goal is to infuse its students and broader community with a deep sense of social responsibility, encompassing justice, understanding, and leadership. How do we know when we are successful in that? Well, this is how. We have alumni who, like all of our distinguished alumni, walk the walk. They start by following their passion. In Susan's case, food, not a career that was known to be financially rewarding, and creating a restaurant business in multiple cities that over the years employs thousands of people, many of whom start from the lowest or non-income levels. They teach them, treat them with respect, caring, encouragement, and support, and discover that they too are learning from them. Then they dive in and help fundraise for a startup research charity to cure a deadly disease her best friend, also a Pitzer alum, is diagnosed with, and serve on the board of Scleroderma Research Foundation to this day. They feed the hungry, they champion the disaffected, agree to join the board of the Los Angeles LGBT Center, and they don't just sit at meetings, but actively engage and give their energy. They stand as an example and are proud to do so. Sometimes they're lucky enough to be recognized for their accomplishments, receive a James Beard Award, be inducted with her business partner into the Smithsonian as the first women winners of the Julia Child Award, create and star in 2 long-running series on the Food Network, publish cookbooks that shape how people eat, serve on the LA Tourism Board, and all with a Pitzer economics degree. You see, once you graduate from Pitzer, it's not even a choice. It's just who you have become, although Susan may always have been this way. I can't think of anyone more representative of the Pitzer spirit in action, of living it every day. Congratulations, Susan, on a well-deserved recognition.
Thank you, Wendy. Oh my
Love
God.
you. I love you.
I love you, Wendy. Gosh, I prepared some notes too, because I just did, but I probably never can really stick by them because I just don't. But I will try. Thank you all. I know when Brandon called me and Michelle followed up, and then Wendy bugged me to say, like, did you get those messages to call? You know, I have to say, I think I was completely surprised. I've said to Wendy, I think I'm the worst alumni that Pitzer's ever had, but I think when I was at Pitzer that I never really took advantage of Pitzer. I think I was so focused in many ways on, I had dropped out of my first semester at Goddard College in Vermont, and which was the total hippie school. And I think I was the only one ever studying. But when I came to Pitzer, I just was very focused, and I don't think I really took full advantage of it. And when Brandon was telling me, you know, again about the mission statement, it just, and I hear and see all of you and what you've all accomplished, which just is unbelievable. I understand, I think, why I was so drawn to Pitzer. I was living in Vermont and it was 30 below zero. And I don't think I only picked Pitzer because it was warm, but, and now in sort of hindsight, I see how this has helped me to reflect on how many people in my life now are so much a part of my life, so important in my life, and all are from my time at Pitzer. So for an example, Wendy Glenn, who is a very good friend of mine and has been our lawyer for, I don't know, probably 30 years, and is probably one of the smartest people I have ever met and has helped us to shape our business. Wendy was from my time at Pitzer. One of my very closest friends still, Lee Perry, was someone who lived down the street from me, is still a very good friend of mine. Sharon Monsky, who Wendy mentioned, was also a student that I took classes with and became one of my closest friends. And as Wendy said, you know, unfortunately was diagnosed with scleroderma, and I have been on the board of the Scleroderma Research Foundation from day one when Sharon formed it, and still do the event called Cool Comedy Hot Cuisine to support scleroderma research, even though Sharon has passed away. And her husband was a Pitzer student. And at the time I told Sharon, you know, he is the biggest idiot. You should not go out with him. He's just, you know, such a jerk. And I was working in the dish room, and yet he ended up being the most amazing person and husband for Sharon and supporter, and someone who's been so supportive of me for all these years. And the list goes on of people that are still in my life and important in my life. So it's just, it was a time that I don't think I realized until getting this award of how big a part Pitzer played in my life. And I want to just mention two people, two adults at that time. Of course, I thought they were very old, but you know, now they were probably a lot younger than I am now, but was Harvey Botwin, who was my economics professor, who was magic. And like I said, I had just come back to school and I took a class from him, and it was a macroeconomics class. And I was blown away, changed my major to be economics, and stayed with him. And he was the most magical professor I've ever had in my whole life. And he too was Sharon's professor, my friend who passed away from scleroderma. And he played such an important part in my life that he allowed me in my last year to do an independent study from Pitzer to go to the Culinary Institute of America. And the other person is a person who was the chef, or the lead chef in the kitchen at Pitzer. And I've been trying to find, his name was Perry, and I have been trying to locate Perry, and Wendy's been trying to help me, and Brandon's been trying to help me, and no one can find him. But I speak about Perry all the time. He was, I worked with him, breakfast shifts, lunch shifts, whether it was a dish room or slicing ham on the slicer or making bacon. And he was probably, without knowing it, he was the one that encouraged me to leave Pitzer, go apply to the Culinary Institute. And he set my path, I think, in a way that I never would have gone had it not been for him. And I talk about him all the time in interviews, and I just hope at some point he would sort of recognize me and we could reach out and reconnect, because I don't think I would have ever done this without him doing that push to get me to think about, don't be an economics major, go be a cook. And so I did that, and he set very clearly how he respected no matter who it was in the kitchen. There was a woman by the name of Maggie that was probably 90 pounds and had a cigarette in her mouth and had tattoos, and she was the pot washer. And he respected her as much as everybody else in the kitchen. And so I feel like both of those people had a huge influence on my life. Economics, where I try to apply that in my business world, and Perry, who set me on the path of being in the career that I feel so lucky to be in. And I think my parents, who helped me to see the importance of giving back. And as much as I absolutely love what I do, I love the voice that it gives me to be able to go and make a small bit of change out there in the world. So thank you all very much for this. I know I said it before, Wendy Glenn is one of my favorite people in the world and has helped to create our business to do what it's done. So thank you all for this award. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. So deserved. Such a good reflection of also finding in unlikely places what your true passion is, right? And so I really appreciated hearing that story, and thank you for sharing it with everybody here today. I just wanted to end by thanking each and every one of you for the amazing talent that you have shared with us tonight, but that you continue to share beyond sort of this Pitzer community, and for being the incredible leaders that you are. Earlier today, there was a session on Pitzer's sort of core values. And as I was listening to each and every one of you talk and to your introductions, it is so obvious that you represent those core values, and we don't even have to list them to see them. You are storytellers that recognize that all of our stories deserve to be told and to be shown on the screen. You are artists that speak truth to power and advocate for a truly free and just society where everyone has the ability, no matter what their past and story has been, to live and be free in our nation. And you are at the top of your respective careers, using food to bring attention to things that need that attention, and really celebrating the culture and the leadership, and using your positions to help and lift others up. So thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do. And I can't wait to meet and celebrate each and every one of you in person. But until then, I'm so glad and honored that we got to celebrate you here tonight. I just want to end by thanking the rest of the alumni board that loses sleep as we go through this process of selecting our distinguished and young alumni awardees, including Diana Bob, who after June 30th assumes the role of president of the alumni board. So with that, thank you all, congratulations, and go ahead and put thumbprints all over that nice award.